House and to bless this food and those who prepare it and serve it, that it might nourish our bodies and strengthen our minds. In Jesus' name we pray.
Pledge to the allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, please be seated. Before I call Vinny up here, I just want to thank you for all your prayers, the cards, and the phone calls I received after my surgery. And I wanted to say a special thank you to Matthew and to Vinny for standing in for me during this time, and Steve Tilley also to keep Rotary going. That's what Rotary is all about, standing up for one another, and I appreciate so much everything you did. I'm well on the mend now, hopefully a good report from the doctor tomorrow, but I still covet your prayers because God, I love God and He loves me, and your prayers are very important. Brother Vinny.
Well, Gordon, where'd you go? There you are. I know that this is your fourth meeting of the day, but you failed to sign in. And old Jack didn't warn you or do anything of that nature. So.
You got already gone.
Gordon's got plenty of money.
And for those who forget about that, the Alzheimer's buckets are in front of you, so make sure you take care of that. You'll notice the upcoming programs coming up, no anniversaries. Birthdays, Steve Tilley. Must be his birthday time, so he's not here. Okay. Ryan Rank, his birthday time too. He must be on vacation. Tim, got you at least. Thank you. You didn't take vacation during your birthday, huh? Okay. Now this one just amazed me, and I in this economic downturn, I wonder if this is still true, but this was one of the factoids that I ran across. The Pope's official barber, who cuts only the Pope's hair, earns an annual salary equivalent in U.S. dollars to what? Has anybody got a wild idea? $250,000 a year to cut one man's hair every 2 weeks. I want that job. I'll get a bowl. I've seen his haircut, and it don't look that good to me.
Put that on it anyway.
Yeah. He covers it up all the time. I don't know who comes up with all these. This was, official post stuff. I'm not sure where it came from. But it just amazes me, some of the things. We're certainly glad you're here today, and our guests are here, and Steve Alligood is going to introduce those for us in our program. Steve? Yep.
Glad to be back. Been out a couple weeks and have missed all y'all. Y'all probably ain't missed me, but I've missed all y'all. I'm glad to be back. And I'm privileged today to have some special guests with me, but they're not just here because they're my friends and my guests. They're here because they're part of the program. Also, they are my friends and my guests. But I want to introduce first Doris Willing, and she's told me to promise that she won't have to come up to speak. Many of y'all know Miss Dora, and many of y'all know her a whole lot better than I do, it turns out, as some of y'all have gone over and spoken to her. But Dora is another one of our inductees in the Hall of Fame that Chuck's going to mention here in just a minute. Dora's a good friend, though, and when Chuck called me about this program, the first person I thought about was Miss Dora. I said, I got to get her to the meeting so she can be a part of this and stand next to her son, who I'm sure would not have been anywhere near as successful had it not been for your prayers and support. So I'm glad you're with us today. Just as a brief aside in how small the world actually is, I've shared this with Chuck, and I know I've mentioned it to you a number of times, but my brother-in-law has a connection with Ms. Dora and also with the person that we're going to be speaking about today, one of them, Pat Swilling, and his name's Brad Roper. He was the director of recruiting at Georgia Tech when Pat signed with Georgia Tech. So he sat at probably your kitchen table or somewhere in your living room and spoken with you and Pat, and I'm sure more than once, if that's how the recruiting thing works. And I asked him to come today, but he's in the same business that Chuck's in, commercial real estate, and I guess he's not doing as good as Chuck, because he couldn't take time to come up here and sit with us. He apologized for that, but he's also a member of the Northeast Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. He played at Georgia Tech, as well, so I thought that would have been a neat deal to have him up, but he couldn't come. So, also with Ms. Dora are some other special guests. Lanisha Swilling, who is Pat's sister-in-law, Jarvis Swilling's wife, is with us, and her beautiful daughter, Mariah. I get the two of them mixed up because they look just alike. But Mariah is a student at Augusta State University, and she'll be a sophomore this fall, so we want to welcome them also. They're here for moral support from Ms. Dora. Program today is presented by Chuck Clausen. Most of y'all probably remember Chuck. He was past assistant district governor, actually the year that I was president, 02-03. Previously, Chuck was my assistant governor, and he spoke here several times, so I know y'all probably remember Chuck. He is a member of the Gainesville Rotary Club and is chairman of the selection committee for the Northeast Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. Chuck's here today to talk about 5 new inductees in the Hall of Fame and the Elite 10 athletes who will be recognized by the Hall of Fame on Saturday, August 29th. He wants to promote that event as well as the Hall of Fame itself, and that will be taking place at the Georgia Mountain Center. So you may recall from some of Chuck's previous meetings here is that he has a passion for sports, particularly football. And prior to moving to Gainesville in '92 from San Diego, California, Chuck had been a football coach for 28 seasons. So let's welcome Chuck as he comes and presents our program.
Thanks, Steve. What a pleasure it is to be with your club today. I've been here a bunch of times, partly sometimes as a speaker, sometimes as an assistant governor, and I feel like I'm in a room full of friends. I have a different speech than you heard the last time. Yeah, that reminds me, I was telling somebody down here about this. Near Gainesville is Jefferson, and they got a Rotary Club. Now, about 10 years ago, you go to their Rotary Club, I'm going to say the average age of their member was maybe 75. Now, I'm 69 now, Rotary Club is 60, 61. Anyways, they had me speak about 4 times in 3 years. And I remember getting up the last time, I talked to them, I said, you guys probably don't remember this, I've been here before. I says, I don't remember what I said, but I know you guys don't either. Anyways, as I came into Tacoma today, I thought about several things. Now, I'm going to lead into the Hall of Fame, but one of the things I thought of back about 5 or 6 years ago, literacy was a major emphasis for Rotary. I went to a seminar at Gainesville College, probably in my role as assistant governor for some reason, and the person who headed up was a retired president of IBM. And since literacy was, we're a worldwide organization, she was going around and holding these conferences. This had to have been before I knew the government, okay? I knew it was worldwide. And so it had to be before I was assistant governor. Anyways, I remember her saying and talking about ideal school system, and she says, one of the best school systems around is the one up in Stevens County. And and we had 2 good school systems in Gainesville, she didn't mention ours, okay? But anyways, I came up a few years later, I made a point to go meet Gary Stipp, the superintendent. I said, with people that know you guys are doing a great job. And I think education is so important. I had a grandfather who had to quit school at the 5th grade, okay, which wasn't unusual at that time. I had a dad who would have quit when he was 14 years old because he didn't know anybody. He didn't know anybody who graduated from high school, okay, let alone college or anything else. Because he was a baseball player, my dad got a chance to get a baseball coach that picked him up and took him to high school and got him through high school. My dad got a scholarship to college, graduated from the University of Iowa.